Get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and we are back and better than ever. Last week, Daniel Tiller presented how to secure and set up Elastic Jobs running Ola Hologren's maintenance scripts in Azure SQL. Then on Tuesday, we had our Azure Data Community Roundtable. Then on Wednesday, I was back with Microsoft Fabric, introduction to notebook code snippets. No new content this week as we are preparing for Microsoft Fabric Conference and SQL Bits. We are also working on some great content for April, so you're going to want to stay tuned to that. Some wonderful, fun things that we've been working on with the product group. So much to see, so much to do. You don't want to miss a thing. So if this is your first time finding your way over to Tales from the Field, give us a like and give us a subscribe. We drop content every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Not this week, though. Today it's just this week it's just Tuesday, and today is the Azure Data Community Roundtable, and you are here for that. You want to interact with the show, it is so easy to do so. All you have to do is make a comment on the stream, and one of my amazing co-hosts will see that, and they will add it to the screen, and you will be a part of the show. We'd also love to get your questions and be able to answer them. And speaking of those amazing co-hosts, of course, I am joined by Mr. Daniel Taylor, the Mountain Man himself, the best beard in the business, which is back. No more Mr. Clean Shaven. We got Mr. Andrés Padilla. The man in the hat himself, Mr. Josh Luedeman, a good-looking fellow over there. And when you wish upon a star, if you're really lucky, sometimes you get a little bit of time with this man. You know who I'm talking about. It's your friend of mine, Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri. All right, quick call to action. We're here because we're part of the Azure Data Community, and we want you to be a part of that Azure Data Community as well. So what do we want you to do? Well, we want the banner to go away for the Twitter. I can't find that. There we go. Thank you for whoever helped me on that one. And then we want you to go join the Azure Data Community itself. Go over to the Microsoft page for the Azure Data Community, find a user group, and submit and be a part of a user group. Wonderful in-person experiences to be able to help grow your career. I know many of us got our start by going to user groups. So you want to make sure and check out that resource. If you're a user group leader, you can register and you can get some free help and some really nice things that we offer at Microsoft. Once you get and you become a part of the community, where do you want to go? Well, you want to head over to SQL Saturday and get yourself some great virtual training. You can see we've got Atlanta coming up April 20th. Myself and Daniel Taylor are going to be there, but we want to look at May the 4th, and May the 4th be with you over in Jacksonville as you get the chance to have the entire Tales from the Field crew and Mr. Buck Woody from the SQL Server product group deliver a full day on introduction to an AI workload pre-con. You're not going to want to miss this. Space is limited, so you want to make sure you go and you register and you are a part of that. Well, after you get some free training over at SQL Saturday, where do you want to go? Well, you want to head over to datasaturday.com and check out the international lineup that they have of wonderful and amazing events. Well, we got one more thing we want you to do. If you've got some time, if you're interested in Microsoft Fabric, we want you to head over to the Fabric Learning Channel. We've got over 2,000 members on this. There's a lot of interactivity going on the site. The product group is there. We're there. It's a wonderful place to ask questions, to find content. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you right now, for you creators out there, every link that I'm going to highlight this week came from our learning channel for Microsoft Fabric Learning. And we really appreciate the wonderful creators out there and the content that you are putting together. Whew, that was a lot of stuff. I was going to say busy weekend. I know I had a busy weekend. Andreas, talk to me, Goose. How was your weekend?
Two great things. I went to go see Messi play, but Messi was hurt, so that wasn't great. So they put him on the sidelines. But it was still a great time. And then my 3-year-old learned how to ride bike with no training wheels. Youngest thing I've ever seen do put on 2 wheels. I couldn't believe it. She knows how to ride. So
I don't want to hear. I was going to say I don't want to hear about Messi. I live in Orlando, and Orlando he made look terrible last weekend. 5-0. It was 3-0 by half. Messi needs to go away.
Yeah.
Messi makes other teams look messy, is what he does. I don't think he needs to go away. I think you just you need somebody of his caliber in Orlando.
Well, I was gonna say he just really tore up MLS and showed really the difference between MLS and the rest of the world at almost 40.
I was gonna say maybe we can get Ryan Reynolds to buy the Orlando soccer team next. That'd be nice. Probably not going to happen, but I would like it. I'd like it a lot.
We would love it, but it.
Absolutely. Well, hey, so it's been a busy week. I don't know about you guys, but there's so much happening. Our MVPs are gathering up in Seattle right now. The MVP Summit is going on. We've been doing a lot of work with the Fabric Group in preparation for next week. There's going to be just a whole host of things that are going to get announced at SQL Bits. That's going to be a fun and an amazing pre-con. Keynote. I don't know if you've seen the different stuff that they've done for the keynote, the different advertisements they put up there, but they've got some pretty good videos. The last one I saw had Assad Khan flying in an airplane landing into Farmington, and Aaron Stellato, if you look really close, the wonderful Aaron Stellato, PM of many of the different SQL tools that we utilize, Azure Data Studio, SSMS, she was actually playing the part of the flight attendant, if you look closely. So very, very cool stuff. There's more teasers to come. And of course, the week after that is the Microsoft Fabric Community Conference. Whole lot of buzz about that. As a matter of fact, I got to see some of the numbers today. I'm not going to reveal them, but I will say that we are at well over 100 people for the pre-con that myself and Mark Price-Mayer and Shabnam Watson are going to be delivering on the post-con on Friday. Where people will be able to learn how to be able to get certified in Microsoft Fabric for the DP600 exam. Very, very, very excited for that. That's going to be a big time. So, all right, talking about a big time. Well, of course, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mr. Big Time himself. I'm going with Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri. Build a common data architectures with OneLake in Microsoft Fabric. Neeraj, what do we got here? And Neeraj is not on mute. He's not on mute, but his headset still defeated him.
I had Josh. So security just got introduced in Microsoft Fabric, and Aaron goes over half the security structure would go up. You can define security on the workspace level, item permissions, or compute level. There are multiple ways to do it. But workspace role, he's defining up how it can be done, right? Admin, member, contributor, what they can do, what they cannot do. A very nicely written breakdown of how to do it. Then he goes into item permissions, where he goes and how to grant people access to it. In that also, you can give read access to write access, depending on what you want to give it out. And the last one is on the compute level, where he goes on the SQL and a semantic model. Keep going down. Compute level, where he goes on the SQL and a semantic model of it. Currently, some of the things are not there, but one thing is read through SQL, that you can give it out, grant read access on all of them. And add to on top of it is the shortcuts, right? I mean, we have been having shortcuts to S3 bucket. It also has shortcuts to OneLake, ADLS Gen 2, and how to grant permissions on that. So this slowly and slowly the security up and running. You can do either entire security or you can do individual parts of it, depending on what your use case is. This is how you can build it up.
You know, I love the use of graphics whenever we're talking about security, because security can get very complicated. There's multiple different things that we need to keep in mind when we're looking at security. And it's very important that we make sure that we get that full picture. So that's a really nice blog, Neeraj.
And just to make sure you know, the judges have ruled that qualifies as talking on mute. Show mute or headset mute doesn't matter. So yes, another point for me.
I was going to say those judges are harsh. It's been a long week. Yes, I got to tell you, for 10 seconds today, I forgot it was Tuesday. It's been so long. Part of me was like, are we on Thursday or Friday yet? No, still Tuesday. However,
my wife thought it was Wednesday earlier. So yeah.
You're going to have to come over, Josh, and try this out. But my brother made this amazing. He's got a still. He made some rye whiskey, and he combined it with a slow drip coffee process. And so it is a coffee rye whiskey. It's unbelievably smooth, very, very tasty. I actually had this the other day with a White Russian without vodka. I just did the coffee-based liquor, no Kahlua needed. Yeah, I was going to say it's some good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, I got Mr. Will Needham up next. Will has 5 ways to be able to get in, data into Microsoft Fabric. One of the things I like when I was looking through this video is Will goes through a lot of detail on this. Our good friend Will, and one of the things he does is he lists out all the other logical items. This is part of a course that he's got up on his school system. There weren't a ton of demos in here, but this is packed full of knowledge. So if you're looking at, here's the different ways that I can be able to utilize the system to be able to get data in place. It was a really, really nice, very, very thorough video by Will. I wouldn't expect anything less from him. Really great stuff. And again, that's the first item up from the channel, the Microsoft Fabric Learning channel. So much wonderful content on there. Clearly, I couldn't pick it all. I only had 3 entries to be able to pick this week, but that was the first one that I saw that I went, wow, what a great job. And another wonderful entry by Will Needham. Speaking of wonderful, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mr. Daniel Taylor bringing in Deb, the DBA implicit conversion into smaller data types.
That's one link from the Fabric community. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Hold on a second. I was going to say that wasn't bad, but that wasn't great. I am curious now. Which of us can do the best count from Sesame Street? I think we're gonna, Andreas. I feel like you've got some good dad vibes pulling up. Give me a good count from Sesame Street.
You what's the song go? You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Ooh.
5, 6, 7.
That was thrilling. Oh, that was good. I felt that down in my toes. Neeraj, can you do count from Sesame Street?
No, uno, dos, tres, or something like that. I don't remember.
No. You know the count. One link from Fabric. Josh, are you even wanting to attempt it, or are you just gonna stay on mute and pass?
Oh, hell no, I was not going to attempt it. The one thing I did throw out in the chat though of the show, after that joke from Dan, I have made the note to find and add the sad trombone sound effect to the show. Thank you, Dan, for that reminder.
You're right, because I did add this one. I haven't used it yet. I added magic, but you know. The volume was all the way turned down. Hold on. There we go. Match. It was also on loop. So magic. It was magic on steroids. So we're gonna have to work on that. Sound effects have not been a part of the show thus far. Dan, maybe we should actually talk about the article that we're looking at. Implicit conversion to smaller data types. What do we got going on here?
It's Magic by Deborah Milliken. It was a great article. Been doing it, and you'll see a couple articles that I'm going to go through this week. Been doing a lot of performance and tuning lately, and man, was I rusty, and I needed some refreshers. Well, apparently Deborah did as well. Deborah ran into an issue where she ran into some implicit conversions to smaller data types. Walks through the different scenarios here, provides a scenario for us, provides us a sample of the update statement, what the query plans look like, and how she solved this implicit conversion. And then goes through and basically provides some information about some of our documentation to find a little bit more information about implicit conversions. But what I love is that this is a reflection piece. We tend to think we're always going to remember everything. And in this case, Deborah thought she remembered, but she forgot a little bit. So this is a great blog. I have it in my bookmark now because this is something I'm going to use in the future. Great article.
Nice stuff. So, Josh, I do want to ask though, do you have an impression that you feel comfortable doing? Like if we did an impression, and I want you guys to think on this. I'm curious now that I and Andreas, I am touched that you followed me down that rabbit hole. And well done. I was going to say simple, not overdone. Very, very nice. But Josh, is there an impression that you would be?
Not any that I'm pulling off today, not without some good practice.
Yeah. I was going to
I
say,
don't want to be that person that shows up and says, yeah, I do a great so and so, and I, like I do a great Russian villain and then come in and sound Jamaican or something. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I was gonna say I do a decent Sean Connery, but it's only because I tell a joke where I go, okay, you're Sean Connery, because I love Sean Connery, but Sean Connery was Sean Connery in every single movie. He was never not Sean Connery. And so like they'd be like, okay, Sean, we want you to play a Russian sea commander in this Tom Clancy novel. And he'd go, right, okay. Yes, I'm a Russian sea commander. Hold on. I'm a Russian sea commander. How was that? Perfect, Sean. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I might have something just in time for that.
Done. Well, yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of something that wouldn't make me sad, but would make me happy, what's going to make me happy is this next man. And we've got Mr. Andrés Padilla presenting on Azure IoT Operations Overview. I was going to say, what do we got here, Andrés?
Oh, this is IoT Operations in preview, but it was announced back in Ignite in November. Oh man, I'm so glad that they're making, they're moving and dealing in this area. Azure IoT Operations with Lior and Reddy Dugamputi explained to us is the overall architecture of what's going on in Azure IoT Operations. For those of you who don't know, it's a new way of doing things, a new way of doing things within Azure IoT. What you have is Azure Arc controlling everything in hybrid, in edge, and you can see all your assets. Then on top of that, you have a Kubernetes cluster. That's what you're going to use as the control plane to control all, talk to all your assets. And then you have Azure IoT Operations sitting on top of that. With that, now I can do some really fancy things. I can go and find different assets. I can find coffee mixers, cameras. I can find, assets that are edge or IoT enabled. Then with that, I can control security. They become ARM objects. So now I can see them as ARM objects within Kubernetes, within Azure Arc. So I can control them from the cloud. And then last but not least, I can create data pipelines into Fabric.
Nice. Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very enjoyable. Boom. There we go. Boom goes the dynamite. All right. So, of course, next up, we have the ever fashionable talk about boom goes the dynamite, the Mr. Josh Luedeman, with introducing Python logging in Synapse Notebook by Jonathan George. Josh, what do we got here?
So this is a great article, especially for folks who maybe are getting started in Fabric, aren't familiar with a lot of Python application development basics. And what this goes through is actually how to do just basic logging of your code in Spark and in Python as a whole. So it talks through some of the basic, log levels that are already in the logging library within Python itself, talks about what you can do with them, what it means, how you can change some of the verbiage. He then goes into, once he gets through the basic logging and how to do it, gets into the log levels, explains what they are, and then even considerations in Synapse, talks about a base level of logging that he recommends you include, and then gets into custom loggers. In custom loggers, the reason I kind of jumped through the basic logging and go right to that is in the custom logger section, he actually talks about how he recommends using custom loggers for your code running in Spark on Synapse so that you can kind of differentiate your errors from others, right? And from Spark itself. So utilizing these custom loggers, using them in your Spark code, he goes through that, including variables in there, how to format your log code, your logging entries for easier search and categorization and all that. It's a really deep, in-depth article, lots of sample code on that. And again, just a fundamental of Python development that not a lot of people have, especially if you're just entering it to do data engineering work.
I was going to say there's a couple of these that I'm just kind of earmarking that I think will make really great content to be able to go through. That's one of
Yeah.
those that I'm grabbing right now. I think that'll be a fun one to be able to produce a video on, to be able to show how to be able to do that in Microsoft Fabric. Really,
Right.
really nice stuff, Josh. And of course, when I say nice stuff, I can't help but think of this next man, because you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri. Protect PII information in your Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse with responsible AI. Neeraj, no impression needed this time, but tell me, what does this mean for all of our users out there?
So, I mean, protecting PII data is big time, right? I mean, any database that you want to make sure you don't want to expose any of the PII data up there. Fabric Lakehouse now supports PII data. So the way the article is written down is showing a bank, like Contours Bank, is trying to bring the account details and all social security number, everything into that, ingesting that data from from the source database, and then you do the transformation on top of it, where where if you want to go down, it shows you, it writes some couple of pipeline codes. I mean, if you keep on going down, yep, it removes first is removing the blank rows, and now up here is removing all the PII data, masking it up with asterisks or something like that. Once you do that, you can copy this to the destination file, only removing all the PII data, or masking the PII data in top of it. So when you move the data from one environment to another, you can secure your data using masking and all of them, so that people do not have access to that part of it. So something nicely done. I mean, article wise, it was completely nicely written down, how you can protect it up. But overall, a good functionality to have for your security of your data.
Very nice stuff. And again, I found something that I thought was incredibly nice. Again, this is the second. Dan, do you wanna chime in here, or do you want Andreas to use his silky smooth count from Sesame Street? This is number
Hello,
2.
Kermit the Frog says this is number 2 from the Fabricators.
Oh, Dan, I am always surprised when you are the sober one in our group. I just love it. I love Oh, no. Come on. I'm gonna give him a little bit of magic with that one. The rainbow connection is coming through hard. Okay, so this is Abayo David, and Abayo is one of our wonderful MVPs. This was another one off of the Fabric Learning, but what I found, this was absolutely amazing. He showed how to be able to get a programmatic list of objects within Microsoft Fabric within a Spark workspace. This was some really, really cool stuff. And you can see right here, he's about to list shortcuts, and he's going to get that data to come through. This was a nice, quick video, but at the same time, this was some really cool information to be able to see that you could produce, and then be able to get a list of these items and get an output, so you could understand some of the metadata of what's going on within Fabric, and how you could use your workspace to be able to do this. This was some really cool stuff. This was another one that I can't wait to be able to play around with, because I had not thought about doing this. This is using the Simpy Fabric Python package to be able to do unbelievably cool stuff. And once again, just want to remind folks that the all of the content that you're seeing today is already down in the description of the video. So if you're looking for anything we cover, just go down there, click on that description, open it up, and you're going to find all this amazing and wonderful content that we are covering. Go check out these wonderful creators. Speaking of a wonderful creator, someone who I've known for a long time in the community is absolutely wonderful, presented by another wonderful person. You know who I'm talking about. Mr. Dan Taylor. Speaking about Miss Kendra Little, what do we got going on, Dan? By the way, this was on all caps when I put it when you gave me the link, and so I couldn't help but hear it shouted every time I read this. You won't find long compilers who time out in the query store. So what is Kendra talking about here?
So one of my favorite bloggers of all time has a great voice in the blogging space, right? I equate it to some of your blogs, Brad. I can hear you speaking when I read your blogs.
Much better.
Great, and does sequel comics, which I crack up every time I read her sequel comics. They're wonderful. But this is all about community here. So Kendra had a problem, and she couldn't find a long running query in the query store. So she went to pass Data Community Summit. And this is where her voice comes through. And she ended up in the expo hall babbling about half invisible queries to anybody who would listen. That cracked me up when I read that. And Eric Darling, who is very brilliant as well, and Aaron Stellato, which we mentioned a little bit earlier, being a flight attendant. So she and I have something in common now. We were both flight attendants at one point in our lives. But she goes through that you can't find this in query store, but you can identify a long compiler by using active transactions. Put some great links in here on how to find information about that, how she found this troubleshooting query, and provides extra thanks to folks. Great article. Another one that I had to utilize with a client because they kept clicking kill on the queries that weren't compiling and we couldn't find anything. And I was like, let me see if I can find this. Perfect timing for this blog post.
Excellent stuff. Excellent. And of course, when I think of excellent, I'm thinking of our next presenter. Again, what an excellent beard, what an excellent face, what an excellent man, Mr. Andrés Padilla. Data quality within lakehouses, a deep dive into quality using bronze, silver, and gold layered architectures. So we're talking about medallion architectures here. What do we got?
Oh my God, great article by Peathin Strankhold. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
I think you stuck the landing. That was good.
You know, the double Lindsay, or the double Lindy. I'm sorry, you guys, for you. Who was the starter of that?
Oh gosh, wasn't that I can see it from Rodney Dangerfield. That's right.
But what we have here is something that a topic that's I'm seeing more and more customers now that they've evolved in their data lakehouse when it comes to ingesting, landing it. Now that they built out their gold layer, they come back and they're like, okay, what's next? Data quality is what's next, and they constantly come to me and they say, well, what should we be? What do we do in data quality? What kind of checks should we be having? And I love this article because not only does it give you a high-level view of what you should be doing at each stage in bronze, silver, and gold, but he goes in and he explains the concepts and the importance of data quality. And he also starts to tap into certain things like making sure you have completeness checks, consistency checks, duplication checks. And customers are asking, well, what other checks should we put in place? Make sure everything's, sound and everything's going to flow correctly. Data profiling checks, lineage checks. And he talks to us about that, but he also ends with, what out of the box features do we have within Databricks? You have expectations. Expectations can get you a long way down the road for data quality. You then may tap into Unity Catalog for lineage. You may tap into Purview to look at your controlling your governance, and you're also looking with at your doing some lineage checks. Great for evolving in your medallion architecture. This is a must read.
Excellent. And talking about a must, right? I'm thinking about the next man, and he's got a must-read article. Of course, you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Sad Trombone Josh Luedeman himself, announcing the winners of Hack Together, the Microsoft Fabric Global Hack. Josh, you had me at Fabric.
So the reason
I
was going to say the reason I brought this one out is back when the Hack Together Microsoft Fabric Global AI Hack was announced, we actually featured that blog on the show, way back when it first kicked off. So this was just really me closing the loop, with everyone, with the viewers and everything, to say, hey, it finished and here's the winners. So they received 50 different project submissions from over 100 different registrants and landed on, the Grand Prize award and winners in each of the categories, including real world AI, best use of Fabric and OpenAI, best use of Copilot for Fabric. And then again, like I said, the Grand Prize award. So in the post, they actually open up everything from the submissions, the description, the GitHub where, the solution is posted, and a video that was submitted as part of them getting evaluated for the prize that they ended up winning. So definitely go out here. I looked through a couple of the solutions myself, some really neat things going on in here. And again, the nice thing is the code's out there too. So it's all out there in repositories that you can get to. You can see the video to introduce you to their solutions. But, the nice thing is again, it's out there. You can learn some things, how to do some different things with Fabric that maybe you haven't thought of yet.
I was going to say there's a lot of really cool items on here. This is a
Right?
really nice one. Yeah, I'm looking at this. I mean, look, that Power App one just seems kind of fun on being able to make sure that you have a Power App to have the food that you've purchased, and then data activator to be able to give you an alert of when it's going to expire to say, hey, make sure you've used this. Can't tell you the number of times I've thrown something out of the refrigerator. Now, I don't know that I'm going to go through the process to log everything into a Power App over and over again, but that is a fun and insightful and engaging way to be able to do that, and also show that alert technology. I'll be honest, I'm gonna grab this as well, because I want to go through some of these, and I want to make sure to look at the GitHub repositories with them, because there's a lot of fun stuff on there, and that's a great way to learn, is to have that little bit of fun as you're learning and doing something.
And if you don't want to load your groceries in, that just means you need to figure out how to get Power Automate to do it. I'm just saying.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's an IoT device that'll do this for me.
Yeah.
Speaking of something that is absolutely amazing and innovative, well, of course, I'm talking about Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri. Copy data to Amazon S3 and Amazon S3 compatible via Fabric data pipelines. Okay, so Neeraj, what do we got going here? We've got a lot of customers that do multi-cloud environments. How are we copying this data?
Yep. So this is the other way around. Before, we are bringing data from one cloud to another. Now we are sending data back to a S3 bucket. So there are customers who are looking for moving that data on Fabric or whatever compute or whatever transformation you did with the data, Power BI data, you build some reports in there. If you want to bring it back for consumption on your S3 bucket, it's up there now. Right now, it's only supported through copy activity using your data pipeline, but you can connect it to your S3 or S3 compatible versions of it as a destination. I mean, when you press the destination, it shows you this two particular thing, and you can just land it up, create your credentials, and start dropping the data the same way as you are ingesting it up. You are now moving it back to the S3 bucket. So something I know a lot of customers were waiting for it and would be helpful for them.
Excellent. Oh, so I love that. And speaking of something I loved, I read this, and Andreas, I knew you would love it. I found this blog by Robert Kerr, and this is another one that I'm going to grab, because I can't wait to play around with this one as well. Updating an Azure AI search index from Fabric. So this is a really cool blog, and Robert Kerr goes step by step through this, because he shows how to be able to get data, how to be able to use Synapse ML to be able to update an index. And he goes, here, we're going to write out a data frame. We're going to get our Azure AI search key. We're going to store it in a key vault, and then we're going to be able to reference that key vault in a notebook, which is a secure and important thing that we need to be able to make sure that we're doing. Call the ML to be able to update the index. And then we can register the URL to be able to search the index all from within a Fabric notebook. I looked at this and I went, oh, this is absolutely amazing. This is a little bit of that combining of worlds and tools to be able to leverage that AI search functionality that we have, but be able to leverage it within a notebook specifically. I can't wait to play around with this, but I got very excited when I saw it, and I thought you might like it as well.
Oh, we just became best friends. We did. And Rob, I'm best friends.
And today we're making bunk beds.
Oh yeah, we are. And we're going to do karate in the garage or kung fu. One of the other.
Yes, I am done with the show. Karate in the garage.
Are we on the right call? I feel like I'm interrupting some kind of romance going on here. What's going on, guys?
What's going on is you need to get up and go to Karate in the Garage. That's where Dan's going.
Dan
needs to come back, though, because we're going to talk about SQL Server minimum downtime schema updates, and then we're going to do Karate in the Garage. Dan, what do you got going on with these schema updates?
Ooh, Karate in the Garage. Interesting. So Mitch Van Hoeksloot provided an interesting article on Blue updating our schemas in our database to prevent minimal downtime. And Mitch goes through the blue-green technique, essentially where you have blue is your production database, and then green, your green side, which is your database that you're syncing up your DDL and all those data changes to, or your DDL changes to it, not blocking your production database, and then eventually asynchronously getting your data over there. He goes through the reason why he wanted to do this, the introduction, the motivation, right? Goes a little bit through more about what the blue-green type deployment is. Great links provided there. References Michael J. Swart, which is a friend of ours in the community, talks about the different options that they went through. A lot of times you and I, Brad, or you and I, Andres, we go through these different things, right? We'll brainstorm and we'll be like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Well, they came up with that they were going to use change data cap or change tracking in this case, and they created this application. I still need to test the application. Haven't had a chance to do it since I found this link, but basically provides a .NET 7 C# console to be able to sync your blue with your green and then eventually your data, so that when you do your cutover, your final cutover, it minimizes the downtime. Really, really interesting article. It's an application that you can download. There's, this is a proof of concept that Mitch is putting together, but definitely something I want to look at playing with, because I've had this situation in the past where people are like, I want minimal downtime, and we talk about this blue-green scenario. So really good.
Very nice. Blue-green deployments are a very fundamental part of large-scale organizations as well. That's a cool thing. I was going to say, Dan, that sounds like something that might be worth a video in the future as well.
I do. It might be a couple.
Yeah, it might be more than one. Speaking of a really cool video, I saw this one up, and of course I knew it was from Cool Cat himself, who will be in the garage later doing karate, Mr. Andrés Padilla. We've got Fabric Data Factory metadata-driven pipelines. And this is over on the Data Factory GitHub page. I'm sorry, the Data Factory YouTube page. Wonderful, wonderful video that we've got here. Walk me through this.
Who's it by, bro? Who's it by? Say it.
I was going to say this is by, I believe this is, sorry, I'm not on that part of the script. Let me double check. That is by Mr. Mark Cromer.
Oh yeah, great.
The big cat himself.
Yeah. There's only a couple of things that make me cry. And Rocky made me cry. Old Yeller made me cry. Marlin Me made me cry. When I saw this, I shed a tear of happiness. I was like, wow, I love this whole YouTube channel. But I love that he put together a great video, half the speed at, it's accomplished in 7 minutes instead of 14. You know how I like 6-minute apps. How to create a meta-driven pipeline in Fabric and Fabric pipelines, how to set up your control table. You're using metadata. He goes through it. He sets up the SQL table in there. He uses that as control table. Then he helps you go. He walks you through setting up the pipeline and the activities in Fabric pipelines. Oh, this is great. Now I can take what I have in ADF and apply it here, but just much faster before I put it together. So,
Josh said, I thought Andres was going to say Mark Cromer made him cry, and he was confused. But I got to tell you, Andres, your list and my list are very similar, and this is a beautiful video. It is a thing of beauty. And speaking of a thing of beauty, of course, I'm talking about Mr. Josh Luedeman with load test emulation for Azure database for MySQL flexible server using MySQL Slap. MySQL Slap. That was the longest title of the week. Well done, Mr. Luedeman. No sad trombone for you.
I know. I know we don't do the points anymore, but I feel like this is something now that
I'm giving you some
I
magic
shoot for every week. The magic of it. Yes.
Yes.
No. So yes, load test emulation, load testing in a database service, as we all know, especially when you start talking about the migrations, which is a lot where we, fall into projects here within Fast Track. Load testing is a key part of it to understand what kind of load that you are able to take in your on-premise environment, be able to compare once you migrate, things like that, also benchmarking. But this is a tool that is included with MySQL. So you can actually utilize either maybe a VM in Azure or in your desktop to actually load test your application running an Azure database for MySQL. This article goes through the whole thing, including installing on Windows or on Linux, how to do that, filling out the connection parameters, the different types of tests that you can run, all of that great stuff in here. It's just a good step-by-step article. Here's this great tool. Here's how you use it. Now go have fun.
Very nice. I like it. I like it a lot. Amazing stuff. And once again, all the links to all of this content are in the description of the video. Go check out the hard work by these wonderful creators. Lots of amazing stuff. Okay, so we're going to finish up the show with just a little bit of fun. Oh, hey, it's our good buddy, Will. Will, it's great to see you. You're very welcome. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful content that you produce. Okay, guys, real quick. Give me the best thing that you watched on TV this past week. I've got something. I'm curious if anybody else has the same thing. If you want, I can go first. I can give you a minute to think, or do I have somebody ready to go now? Josh, you got it? What's the best?
Well, I'm going to go with the controversial one, and I know I'm going to get hate mail for this because it's very divisive, but I actually got caught up on season 2 of Halo. I know Halo season 1 was a little bit difficult for some folks to digest, started a little bit, slow.
I liked it
in like the last episode, but this second season is now getting into the game and the story of it, the Covenant, all that. So I'm caught up on that and I'm in.
You know what? I watched season 1, and even though it was very different, I enjoy stories that change. And so I enjoyed season 1. I will check out season 2. I need some good stuff to be able to stream on the flights coming up. So,
it's the story within the story too. That's why I like Halo versus the game. It's like a lot of the story that you didn't necessarily see in the little interludes in between while playing the game. So it's good stuff.
Yep. Dan says, hi, Will. Yep. Great to see you, my friend. Great to see you over here, Will. Neeraj, I saw your hand coming up next. Do you have something or? Oh, defeated again by the headset. He's on mute again.
Come on. This is Josh.
No. Okay. So what do you got?
No, I saw a lot of
you watch.
I saw a lot of TV this week, but the State of the Union was the best part of it. I liked it. The part 2 coming up, Biden versus Trump again. So that's where I was like, wow. Now again, it starts the whole 6 months of BS.
So I got to tell you, I didn't see anybody going the political route saying that the state that was not my pick for the best thing. But okay. What? You know what? Neeraj is our intellectual. Wait. We're going low for the entertainment. Neeraj went high. Andreas,
he came out swinging though, so I will give Neeraj a little bit of bump for that. Yeah, I'm with him on that. He, it was a good, jab, uppercut going on there.
All right. So
I felt like it's two old people fighting over something. I don't know what, but that's fighting over something.
Well, it is two people fighting over something. So moving right along, Andreas or Dan, what was the best thing y'all watched on TV this past week?
Look, I'm going to go a little lowbrow here. I love me a good conspiracy show. We watched Finding Atlantis, a series on Finding Atlantis. They actually found a lot of old cities. It was really cool. I learned a lot of stuff about volcanoes and that. It was actually a really good series, even though the concept was Finding Atlantis. They found a lot of lost cities that over time have gone underwater. But no Atlantis. No, they didn't find Bigfoot either.
Did they find freestyle music?
So what subject. I was going to say, what channel was that on, or what streaming?
I think it was on the Travel Channel.
Travel Channel. Okay, interesting stuff. Andreas, what do you got for me?
Oh, I got a couple. I watched. There was a great soccer game. It was Manchester City against Liverpool. That thing was spectacular to watch. My wife and I also caught up on Daisy Jones and the Six on Amazon. We've been slowly but trickling through that series. It's really good. And then I also stumbled upon I looked at all the Oscar nominations, and I'm a fanatic for good documentaries. And there was a good one on Disney Plus. It's called Bobby Wine, the People's President. It's about this one of the top music artists in Uganda who rose to the political scene, and he tried to make a change, but they threw him in jail. Just the stuff that happened to him to silence him is incredibly disturbing. But I'm glad that documentary is out there to give some, good, provide some good knowledge of what's happening in Africa and in those countries and the corruption that happens.
I got to tell you, I am you and Neeraj. I'm so impressed with your intellectual capabilities because I'm sitting here. I've been sitting on mine, and I'm going to say Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. Paul Sehang as Uncle Hero. Oh my God, talk about something that makes me cry. That gets me every single time. That character in the original Avatar cartoon, there were moments where I'm sitting there. I was sitting there watching that series when he came on with the box of tissues. I was like, I'm not crying over here. My wife is made of stone. She's like, that's very emotional. She looks at you, okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Maybe a hug would be good. But no, I was gonna say I absolutely loved it. I loved the Avatar series, the visual effects. This casting was so much better than the movie that came out a couple years ago too. It was through and through just absolutely amazing, visually beautiful as well.
Nice, I love it.
All right, well, that's it for us. Look, if you hung out this far, then clearly you need to go to SQL Bits and see my pre-con. You need to go to the Microsoft Fabric Conference and come to the pre-con again. And then join us in Atlanta to hang out with Dan and I, and then come to Jacksonville so you get the whole Tales from the Field crew experience with all of us. You can hang out all day with us and learn about AI. I can't think of a better combination. And once again, I think that's it. We're going to wrap things up. Anything else to mention, my friends?
Hey, remember, come surprise me. Somehow I wiggled my way in the FabricCon, so I'm going to be there, folks, working the booths.
Well, hey, and Will Needham's going to be at SQL Bits. Will, I cannot wait to see you there, my friend. I am looking forward to connecting. And folks, if you're at SQL Bits, you're definitely going to want to check out Mr. Will Needham being there. That is fantastic to know. Good stuff. All right. Well, hey, so, I think that's, Neeraj, go ahead, buddy.
We don't have any live show next week, right? We all are traveling.
We will be back the Tuesday of the Microsoft Fabric Conference. And one of the things that we may end up doing, we may end up talking about a lot of the announcements that come from the keynote that Tuesday. That's going to be a good time. But yeah, I was going to say we'll be back to regular scheduled content in April. Until then, we won't see you next week, but we'll see you a little bit the week after. Be good to one another. Take care. For Andrés Padilla, Josh Luedeman, Neeraj Jhaveri, Daniel Taylor, I'm Bradley Ball. Thank you so much for joining us on Tales from the Field. Be good to one another out there. Goodbye, everybody.
Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing though. I always gotta fight and hide from the